And welcome everyone to Learn a Trade Training Membership. Today's module is module number 7 on the FBD 56 series frozen beverage dispenser. And today we will be going over the navigation system. As you can see on the screen, this is your faceplate touchpad right here. And we're going to be going over what each button on the touchpad means on your keypad. So the keypad is used to operate the machine and navigate through operation menus. Key functions are listed below. You have your fill, which is right here on both sides. Your fill button activates and deactivates solution and CO2 solenoid to fill the barrel. Your beater button is right here on both sides. The beater activates and deactivates the beater motor. Your defrost activates and deactivates your defrost cycle. And your defrost button is right here underneath the fill button. Your run button activates machine to self-sustaining running cycle. And that's the green button with the line in the middle on both sides there. Your off button deactivates machine from self-sustaining running cycle. Here is your off button with the circle in the middle of the red button, right underneath the run button. Your cancel exits function menus without making changes. This is your cancel button with the X on it. Your back button scrolls to left of the menu and decreases value in settings. This is your back button right here. Your forward button scrolls to the right of the menu and increases values in settings. That's right here, forward. Your select button selects changing value, finalizes value changes, and enters into sub-menus. And this is your select button with the check mark. Your blank button enters into the service menu. This is your blank button. Okay, you have two blank buttons, but the more common blank button that's used to enter the service menu, as you'll see as we go through this module, the left side blank button is usually the button that's used to get into the service menu. And here's an example of how to use these buttons to scroll and cancel and stuff. To set the time, scroll left or right on first level of menu until it displays the time. Press select button. Value to be changed will blink. So when you press the select button, it's going to go to a screen that'll have your hour, minutes, and seconds. And it'll be your hour section that's flashing first. And then once you set that, then your minutes will flash. And then once you set that, then your seconds will flash. Press forward or back to change setting on blinking value. Press cancel if you don't want to make changes. Press select to finalize value, and blinking will stop. Now we're in the menu structure. Your basic level menu is right here. This is what you will be scrolling through on the basic level. Your copyright, your version, the time, the date, daylight savings, defrost times, which will bring you down. When you press that, that'll bring you down into a secondary set of keys to hit. And then you have your wake up sleep times, your fault code history. This is very valuable when you want to see the faults that may have come up before you arrived on site. This is a very useful key here within this basic sequence. And then your service menu. Then you have your software version, your beep enable, your alternate language, and then your ES. Usually these last four we really don't get into unless there's some type of an issue with the software version, and in that case you would more than likely be calling the manufacturer to walk you through that. So these last four you really don't get into any of that unless it's an issue that has to be taken care of with tech support. So let's go over to the service menu, because this is what you're scrolling through. When you first open up the machine merchandiser, when you lift it up or open it up, you're gonna scroll through using your arrow keys. You're gonna scroll through till you get to service menu, and then you're gonna press that blank button on the left, and then it's gonna take you to the service tech interface level. This is the second level within that menu, and these are the icons that are going to come up once you go into the service menu. You're going to have your machine settings, you're going to have your readouts, your manual on and off, your bev track, your machine totals, and then load all defaults. And in some of the prior modules, I did explain that load all defaults is a last resort type of thing. You really shouldn't have to hit that button to reload everything. So just keep that in mind. But say if we went to machine settings, you would go down, it will take you into a sub menu, which would allow you to pick which side. If you're on a 2-barrel, either side 1 or side 2. If you're on a 4-barrel, sides 1 through 4. If you're on a 3-barrel, it would be sides 1 through 3. And then over here, you'd have your readouts, and your readouts would do the same thing. It'll bring you to a sub menu, and you would have your common, which is your basic information. It's going to tell you the serial number of the machine. When you hit the common readings, it's going to tell you the voltage offset, and then the blink out of order function is also within there for the light to flash if it's out of product, or if there's an error in the machine. A light will blink to let the operator know. But then as far as your readouts, it's going to take you to this, either where you can choose either side 1 or side 2 if you're working on a 2-barrel. And then whichever side you're working on, you're going to be able to read the beater times, the beater percentage, the tank pressure, your syrup pressure, your return temp, your inlet temp. You're going to be able to read all of that there. And then when you go into common, you would be able to see also your H2O pressure, your water pressure, your CO2 pressure, your regulated CO2 pressure, and your line voltage. So those are important items to know about when you're troubleshooting. So you would be able to go into these to see what the settings are. And then it will take you can go into manual on off. And that again will take you to either side one or side two, whatever machine you're working on. And you choose the side that you're going to be working on, and then you would be able to turn on the CO2 solenoid to check it. You would be able to turn it on, you'll hear it click open, and then you turn it off and you'll hear it click close. If you don't hear it click, then you know you have an issue there. Either there's a broken wire or there's an issue from the board. So this really is a big help to be able to go into the manual on-offs, because you can check your CO2 solenoid, your solution solenoid, your beater motor, the defrost solenoid, the refrigeration solenoid, the product out light, and your totals. You'll be able to see all of that. And then over here, if you went into machine totals, this will tell you the totals of everything. It'll tell you the total defrost for whichever side you're working on. Again, it'll tell you how many times it sold out, how many hours it was in sold out mode. It'll tell you how many hours the beater was running, how much run time hours, how many error hours, how many hours did it have errors, and your syrup minutes. It'll read you off the minutes of your syrup. And then you have, again, your common, which is on every sub menu. And then, like I said, this load all defaults, we really don't use that often. But if you go into that, this is what it will ask you. It will ask you, are you sure? And then you can press yes or no with the arrows. And then when you press yes, it'll go ahead and it's going to set everything back to factory settings. Okay. And again, we don't really do that often. Usually you would be in contact with the manufacturer tech support department, and they would probably tell you to do that if it got down to that. But most times it really doesn't. Okay, so here again, we're still looking, we're going back now to the basic level menu. Remember all of those headings that we went over earlier? Those are all of your basic level headings right up top here. And this is what you're going to see first before you get to service menu. And then this is just a chart. This chart here is just telling you what everything is doing. Your copyright link, it's going to show you the date, that the year that the software was released. The version is going to show you the model date of the software was last updated, and the frequency. The time is always set in military time. So for an example, 1500 is 3 p.m. If you're not familiar with the structure of military time, just look it up. Like Google it or something like that. It's pretty simple to understand, but it's more so based on going with a 24-hour clock. Okay, so everything is in the hundreds. Okay, and you'll be able to pick up on it as you go on, but you wouldn't put in 3 o'clock for the time. You would put in 1500. You put in military time. And then your date is This is the format of the date, the year, month, and day. Your daylight savings enables or disables daylight savings. And that it all depends on the site that you're working at. Most places, they do prefer to have that enabled. So all you have to do is if you're familiar with the customer or the site, then you would already know whether to enable it or disable it. And your defrost times, that's setting up your defrost times. You can set it to auto defrost where it'll do it on its own, and you can enable or disable during defrost. Wake up sleep times sets the machine to turn off, on throughout the week. These usually I don't have to set these times in most of the stores that I do service at, basically because they're mainly all 24-hour, all 24/7. So, but there are, certain customers that you might have that close at 9 o'clock and they're going to want the machine to shut off at 8:30, say, or 8:45 in the evening, and then they're going to want it to turn on when they open up at 7. So they're going to want it to turn on for 6:30, 6:45, and you can set those times there for wake and sleep times. Your fault code history, that stores 10 faults. They display the error codes and the time that error started and the time it ended. The service menu, blank key on side 1 to enter. So that's reminding you that you're going to enter that service menu with that blank key that I showed you earlier that is on the left side. It's the number 1 for the number 1 barrel. So you're going to always use your left key to enter the service menu. Then your software version, it displays the software version and revision. Your beep enables or disables audible alarm. Your alternate language alternates LCD language. And you really won't have much to do with that unless you're working overseas or something like that. So, but it is good to know that you can change the language on it. Your ES, that's your energy savings function. This enables or disables energy saving functions. Just a little side note on this ES. I try not to use this on my sites because the reason for that is this is a energy saving mode. So if it senses that it's using too much wattage or energy, then it's going to shut down until it feels that it's satisfied, and then it'll come back on. But with most sites, they want their machines on all day. They don't want them shutting down for anything. So just keep that in mind. And if you ever run into a problem where a customer is complaining that the machine shuts off at a certain time all the time and they don't know why, more than likely someone's went into the menu and they enabled the energy saving function. And that's usually all that would be wrong with it. So just keep that in mind if you ever run into that. Now we're going to go into the service interface level menu. That's that second level. That this is once you enter into the service menu by hitting that blank left key, and you're going to go into machine settings or readouts or manual on and off. More than likely, those will be your common buttons to use at that level. and each one will bring you to a sub level that will allow you to choose the barrel that you're going to work on, the side, or to go into common settings or common readouts and get information from there. So once you're in machine settings and you go to a particular side, you're going to see the expansion. It's going to show you the expansion. Setting range is 0 to 6, defaulted at 3. More than likely, you'll see that around, I'd say, between 3 to 6. The expansion is a good level. Thaw freeze setting, that's 0 through 20, and usually that's defaulted at 10. So usually you'll see that at 10. And your FUB mode, that's your formulated non-carbonated product, defaulted at off, because these machines, these Slurpee machines, do not use anything that's non-carbonated, so they always leave it off. It's capable of doing it, but it's always left off, so you don't really even have to bother with going into that setting. And then on your common side, if you went to the common key, you would see the serial number. Okay, your serial number at installation is defaulted here, and usually you can they will have it in place on a data plate that's on the machine, so you really won't have to input the information yourself. But it is available if you wanted to do that. Your voltage offset compensates the difference between LCD and measured line voltage. Your blink out of, that's your blinking light. Your sold out light stays on solid rather than blinking when enabled. Okay, so with that blinking light, we always just leave it where it was set from the manufacturer, because that way it will blink when the customer is out of syrup, because most of these units are in very busy stores or busy sites, and if there's a lot of customers in and out, the customers will become more aware that if the Slurpee machine is in defrost mode, if it's defrosting, that light's gonna blink to let them know that they can't use that product. So we always keep that where it is blinking. And here's some more settings for the on the readouts section of the service interface level menu. Now we're in readouts, and then you can go down, choose whichever barrel you're working on, or you can go to common. And in your readouts, you're going to have your beater percentage. That's percentage ranges between 0 to 1,000, indication of frozen product in the barrel. So this basically is telling you what percentage that barrel is frozen at. So this is a good way to gauge your product, and to be sure that it's freezing down is by checking, your beater percentage. Then you have your tank pressure, indication of pressure in the barrel. Your syrup pressure is indication of syrup pressure. Your return temp, indication of refrigerant temperature flowing out of the barrel. Inlet temp is an indication of refrigerant temperature flowing into the barrel. Then on your common readouts, you're going to see your H2O pressure. It's an indication of your water pressure. Your CO2 pressure, indication of your CO2 pressure. Regulated CO2 is an indication of your secondary regulated CO2 pressure. And your line voltage indicates the incoming voltage that's coming from the power source. Now we're moving on to service interface level menu, manual readouts. So we've already went over machine settings and readouts. Now we're going over manual on and off. And you would come to the sub menu, choose which barrel you're working on, and you will see your CO2 solenoid, activated, deactivated solenoid. You could turn it on and off. You would be able to turn on and off your solution solenoid. Then you can, that way you can be sure that your syrup solenoid is opening up, and you would be able to see through the barrel if there's product going in there. Then you have your beater motor. You can activate your beater motor. You can activate your defrost solenoid, your refrigeration solenoid, your product solenoid, and your NM items. You can activate those. We really don't, you don't really have to test that much, because this is mainly for your lights, your annunciator lights, to let you know that the machines, if the machine is out of syrup, or if it's in defrost mode, that's for the lights blinking. So you'll be able to see what's working and what's not, just by being there in front of the equipment. And then you go to your common. In your common, you can go to your compressor, and you can turn your compressor on and off. And this is a good way to test your refrigeration system. You can see if your condenser fan is running, and other things. You can take voltages. You can check your voltage measurements with that running, and you can check your temperatures. You can see if your inlet temperature is going down like it should, or if it's not going anywhere at all. Then there might be a problem with the compressor. Then your fan, that's your evaporator fan. You can turn that on and off also. Now we're still in the second level service interface menu of the menu, and we're going to go over the machine totals. And again, that has a drop down, a sub menu, and you would go to whichever side you're checking, or you could go to common, or you could go to your set totals. But here, when you go to one of the sides, either side 1 or 4, you're going to see your defrost cycles, and it's going to give you the totals of everything. It's going to show you the total defrost cycles, total sold out hours, total beater hours, total run hours, total error hours, total syrup minutes. And then if you go to common, it'll show you your compressor hours, the total hours the compressor was on, the total compressor cycles, your total power on hours, your total sleep hours. Then your set totals, these are totals that are set. Your side, you can reset operation time within side. I really don't advise that, because it's better to leave these totals as they are, just to let you know, but at least you know where they're at if you need to get to them. And then it's going to ask you, are you sure? And you'll say yes to reset, no to cancel, reset, set shared. That is another thing that we don't need to really bother with. And we'll just go on to the next one from there. So basically, we're over here now at load defaults, still on that second level menu. And then, like I showed you earlier, it'll just ask you, are you sure You could say yes or no to cancel, and then, proceed on from there. Now your expansion adjustment. Expansion setting is used to increase or decrease refill and fill pressure. Refill and full pressure. Table below demonstrates the effects of change in refill and full pressure. Higher barrel pressure represents higher expansion. Lower barrel pressure represents lower expansion. So let's look at some of the values here in your expansion settings. So value 0, refill 22.5, full 24.5. Recommended active charge pressure is 26. And as you can see, all of these values, they have a refill and full. They have a refill and full value, okay? And then they have a recommended active charge value. Now, if you remember, and if you go back to the earlier modules, I spoke about there being one active charge in every unit. There's only one active charge. And if you look at all of these numbers, no matter what the values are, okay, no matter what their value is, you look at the recommended active charge is 26 for 0, 26.5 for 1, 27 for 2, 27.5 for 3, 28 for 4. So that would be like, say you had a 4 barrel. Then 28.5 for 5, 29 for 6. So the way we do it on the commercial side is we always, well, FBD does it actually. They send out a preset active charge that's in the machine already. It's already connected and everything. And that active charge is already set for 30 PSI. So, I mean, this chart is good to know the refill and full values, but over here, I'm just letting you know that you don't really have to memorize all of these numbers. You just have to know that the active charge is always at 30. So when you look at your expansion, you should see 30. You might see 28, or you might see like 27. But I would always adjust that pressure up to 30, as close as you can get it, that's no problem. But the active charge that's in the unit is adjustable, and usually you don't have to adjust it. It's really not off by a whole lot if it's within this range, okay? Now we're going to look at our thaw freeze adjustment. Thaw freeze setting is used to increase or decrease freeze and thaw. Table below demonstrates the effects of change in freeze and thaw beater percentage. Higher beater percentage represents liquidly frozen product. Lower beater percentage represents firmer frozen product. So right here, this is basically showing you all of your beater percentages. So just take a note of this and look at the range, freeze beater percentage, thaw beater percentage. Okay, so you notice that it's lower when it's in freeze mode. Okay, so that percentage lowers when it's in freeze mode, and it's higher when it's in thaw mode because it's thawing. So that beater motor is revving faster. And over here, it's thicker. The product is thicker, more firm, so that percentage is going to drop down. And if you remember, the percentage range is from 0 to 1,000. So these are within the range. So you will want to take note of that and just, remember your range, 0 to 1,000 for your beta percentage. Your voltage offset adjustment. Method 1, voltage offset. Measure L1 and L2 voltage at the contactor right here, L1, L2. When machine is off, voltage offset equals measured voltage, line voltage. So for example, your measured voltage is 245, your line voltage is 235. Your voltage offset would be 10%. Okay, so you would set that to 10. Okay, so then it says here, enter the calculated value from above to voltage offset under common in the machine settings. So you would go to your machine settings right here. It would give you the drop down menu, and you could go to common, and then it would give you the voltage offset. You could go in and set the voltage offset from there. Okay, now method 2, that's the first method. Now this is method 2, voltage offset. Measure L1 and L2 right here with the unit off. Turn the potentiometer on the primary lower power board. Okay, so this is that lower power board, and here's a blow up of what that potentiometer looks like. It's a little slotted screw, and you can use a small screwdriver and you can adjust it. So you would turn the potentiometer on the primary lower board until the LCD line voltage matches measured voltage. So what they're saying is, say you measure your voltage for 245. You could use method 2 and just adjust, go up here to your common readouts, okay, and then go to line voltage, and it's going to say it says 235. So what you would do, since you measured 245, you would go here and you would turn to increase, you would turn to the left. Okay, to decrease, you would turn to the right with these directionals here. You would use your screwdriver and you would turn to the left in order to get that 235 up to 245. And then you would just leave it right there once you hit 245 on the screen. And that will do it for this lesson. Next, we will get into troubleshooting the UPB, okay? Your upper board. I thank you all for your time. I hope this is helpful and useful to you. I hope you were able to get good notes, and I appreciate you taking your time to get through this. And I'll see you on the next module lesson, module number 8. Thank you very much.